Kamala Harris is asked, well, not really asked a question, but the topic of identity comes up.
One, I don't listen to it.
Okay. Someone called her some names. I did what the big brother did. I ended up getting in trouble, and the KKK came and vandalized, nearly burned down my high school. And I knew at that point, although I was very proud to be Italian and black, that the world looked at me as a black man.
Yeah.
You've always been secure in your identity, who you are, but what do you feel or what do you think when you hear people kind of questioning just the fabric of who you are?
That's actually a very strong comment that Barnes just made. Barnes is Italian and black. He's a black Italian. And he was recounting an event that happened in his life that actually took place where somebody was saying something to his little sister. I'm not sure what they were saying. I'm thinking it was racial. Barnes said he went and did what big brothers do. And then the Klan came to get him. They almost burned down his whole damn school trying to get him. So he's like saying, okay, so I realized at that point that the world saw me as a black man. Now, you would think after something like that, Kamala would come back with a similar story of, you know, how being black has impacted her. That people see her as black. And she's had to deal with certain things, you know, that have maybe not so favorable things that have happened to her, just living her life, right? Just doing her. That have solidified and she could kind of like offer up, okay? And say, hey, this has been my experience. This is what I've had. Now, for the record, because I've been getting people in my comment section, and I hate to do this, man, but I gotta expose you. I have to tell you something. There ain't a black person walking the earth who hasn't had a run-in racially where their color, them. See, to you, it's no big, it may not be a big deal when we talk about race. You're like, why we gotta keep talking about race? Because this is America. I'm sorry, folks. I'm sorry that this is America. I know it would be more convenient for you if this country wasn't built on race and exploiting people of darker skin. It just is. Okay? And there's not a single black person that I've ever known in my life who hasn't had a situation where they were treated unfairly because of their race. And Barnes is relaying this to the vice president. This is my experience. You go. It's a layup, folks. This is why you do podcasts. Understand? Put it this way. What if this wasn't color? What if Barnes was a gay man? He's not gay. He's a married man with kids, and he says he's straight. But let's say if he was LGBTQ, and he's saying, hey, when I came out as LGBTQ, this was my experience. This is how I was treated. And he's got a person on the panel that's also LGBTQ. That would signal your turn. You go. It's a layup. It's what you do. Whether it's, hey, what was it like when you were adjusting, going to Hollywood, you come from a small town, anything you have in common with somebody, you tell your story. That's how podcasts work. You tell your story to pave the way, to show this is where we want to take the conversation. And then that person's like, oh yeah, I've got a similar story. Or I have an opposite story, or whatever. Let's see what Kamala Harris' response is to this story. Now that we understand the commonality, that's what podcasts are for. Podcasts are not interviews. They're not CNN. They're not supposed to be MSNBC. They're not supposed to be the same thing you do on CBS. You're supposed to be talking like a human being and sharing your life and sharing what's happened, your stories, stuff we can't get on the fucking news. That's the whole purpose. And if another person says, why you keep bringing up race? No! The Kamala Harris supporters have brought up race as a reason why she should be elected. And this very podcast, they're not gonna say, you got great ideas, I don't want to step on the lead. Let me stop. You don't get it. All these people that work for Kamala Harris, that are friends with Kamala Harris, these surrogates, They keep coming out and keep saying she's a black woman. You gotta support her. How dare you not support a black woman? They were saying, huh? That's why it's an issue. It's not an issue because we brought it up. It's an issue because they keep bringing it up and saying this is why you should elect her. That doesn't sink. You don't get that. If you don't understand that, you ain't been paying attention. You jumping in mid-conversation, looking at a community going, why are you using our blackness as a weapon to get votes from us? Treat us like white people and Latino people and Asian people and get our vote by policy. And I'm tired of people not getting this. I'm tired of you not understanding it. I'm tired of you trolling me and saying dumb things, ignorant things like, why you gotta, let's just leave the racial conversation out of it. Tell her surrogates, her $1 million plus surrogates, to stop gaslighting black people and trying to get votes from sliding out of uterus a certain melanin content. She's not going to white people and saying, you should vote for her because she's black. Maybe she does. Those people are idiots. We need a president. We deserve a president that will do for our communities, not hold themselves up as a prize that we should elect for symbolism. Are we clear? Back to this thing with Barnes. Barnes sets this up, does a damn good job. He makes himself vulnerable. He talks about a time when his sister, he defended his sister, and then the Ku Klux Klan came for him. And that's when he said, hey, I'm gonna be black whether I like it or not, because that's how the Klan see me. What was Kamala's response? And she come back and say, yeah, I had a similar situation when I was working fries at McDonald's. A pissed off white guy threw fries in my face and said, take that, your black S whatever, your black whatever. Let's see what she says.
Well, one, I don't listen to it.
Okay.
I'm really, one.
Feel, or what do you think when you hear people kind of questioning just the fabric of who you are?
Well, one, I don't listen to it.
Okay.
I'm really clear about who I am, and if anybody else is not, they need to go through their
That's
own
their
level of
issues.
therapy. That's not my
That's
issue.
their issues, right?
My mother was very clear. She was raising 2 black girls to be 2 proud black women. And that was never, it was never a question. You know, it's funny because over the years, journalists.
So basically she has nothing. She has not a single instance that she's willing to, if she has it, she doesn't want to share it. She don't want to share it. Where she can say, hey guys, this has been my experience. This is what happened to me. Okay, this is what I've gone through. I can give you one. When I was 12 years old, I was going door to door selling candles for my school. I was new to this neighborhood that was considerably white, not all white, but very considerably white. We were renting a house. We couldn't even buy the house. We were renting the house in a place called Riverdale, Maryland, which is now a totally different demographic that used to exist. And I remember I knocked on this door. And it was the inner door was open, but the outer screen door was closed. I knocked on the door, and a white guy came to the door with a tank top on. And he said, N-word, what are you doing at our door? We don't allow no N's here. I'm 12. And it didn't even I'm like, what? And then I hear someone else say, who, but N's at the door. And he gets up, another white guy gets up. I was 12. That wasn't my first time hearing this type of talk, but since I had been from a predominantly black neighborhood in Forestville, Maryland, in an apartment complex with 95% black and other people of color, I never really dealt with it by adults. Now, when I was elementary school and there were mixed kids, I remember being 7 years old and having a little white boy who used to call me the N-word all the time and trying to beat his ass And then we finally got into a fight after school. I remember that vividly. So those are my experiences. I could just spin off, throw at you from nothing. I don't even have to think about it. This is what Black people have gone through, being Black in America. And when you are saying, I am this, do you understand how insulting it is when you don't really have that experience? Do you understand what I'm saying? There was pain in those stories I just told you. Even 40 years later, there was pain for being in that schoolyard. And that white boy calling me those names, and I just wanted to destroy him. And teachers stopping me from beating his ass. How do you know that was the right word to call me? To get that reaction. To hurt me. What did those grown-ass men tell that 12-year-old Tim at the door selling candles for his school? In the 7th grade, sorry. Just started 7th grade. So these are my personal experiences. So when you trade on our Blackness, that's the problem. And that's what's really missing from the Candace Owens deep dive into Kamala Harris. What's the real problem? What's really driving the anger and the tension underneath this conversation and the questions about Kamala? It's real people's feelings. It's real experience. And it's that you don't get to use us that way. Now, if Kamala came up with a story and she could articulate it, a lot of people would probably feel differently. But she has no such story. She won't share such story. She's on a podcast and she makes it about something wrong with people that would question her. Because it's about her. It's not about the country and the people. And I'm gonna let this play, but I gotta say this. When D.L. Hughley and Ricky Smiley and Steve Harvey and Angela Rye and all these people that are millionaires, multimillionaires, are caping for Kamala, they've all said the same thing, that they have a personal relationship with Kamala. They have a personal relationship with Kamala. They talked to her on the phone. DL went to her house. He put his hand on his, she put her hand on his shoulder, walked him through understanding her record in California, talks to them often. When I hear it, you know what I hear? I hear that if she really had a problem with what they're doing online, when they're going after us, they could pick up the phone, she could pick up the phone and tell them to cool it. If her team had a problem with Ricky Smiley cursing out Black people online about voting for her, she would just pick up, they would just say, hey, Ricky, you gotta chill, man. We don't want this is not the way we want to get votes. I know you care, but you're doing too much. They haven't done that. I remember, because I've been covering politics a while, I remember when Bernie Sanders was getting beat up for less. And it would be hordes of mainstream media, corporate liberal media saying, Bernie, your supporters are so toxic. Won't you talk to them? Bernie, won't you do this? Bernie, won't you do that? They're attacking journalists. They're attacking voters. They're attacking people that disagree. Your people are so mean. Bernie has no control over no-name people that he doesn't have their phone number. The campaign is not in no way connected to these people online, mind you. But Kamala is directly connected to Steve Harvey. She's directly connected to D.L. Hughley. She is directly connected to Ricky Smiley, who he say her and Joe Biden called him when he had problems in his life. Personally hit him up. Hey, dog, you all right? You good? You good? That sounds to me that they're giving, if not full-throated support and approval for what they're doing, they're relinquishing any support, any responsibility for what's happening. So they're basically co-signing it. Okay, so yeah. So bigger than just what Candace Owens is saying, and she did a damn good job of researching this stuff, but there's no soul under it. It's all tactical, strategic, right? I feel from Candace Owens. What I'm telling you is underneath all of that, the reason why I feel that's more substantive, that there's pushback about this narrative about Kamala and blackness and all this stuff, is that there's real people suffering and pain and a legacy here that we do not want people playing with for material or career gain. And that's an insult to us. Do you understand? All right? If you don't understand, I can't help you. Hopefully, hopefully I've done a good enough job to articulate that to you, if you never considered it.
Some, not most, will want to talk about it. And I say, okay, if you want to have this conversation, I'm prepared to have it, but sit down and get comfortable for a few hours. If you want to start talking about race in America, you want to talk about the 1/8 rule?
A drop.
You want to talk about what it means in terms of who you are perceived to be and the impact that can have on the rest of your life, regardless of who you actually are in terms of your God-given capacity and the rights that you have and should have. So, I don't mess with that. I think that's other people trying to figure some stuff out that and they got some issues. They got to,
Yeah, that's some sellout shit right there. That's not. This is an inauthentic moment of Kamala Harris and Barnes, Matt Barnes, not Chris Barnes, Matt Barnes. You took an opportunity and you turned it into something that's not going to help her at all. It's just more talking points, and it's a missed opportunity for her in her campaign. And either she's not on one side, she's not a skilled enough. I feel it indicates she's not a skilled enough operator to understand the level of importance of that moment. Or she just doesn't know how to. Yeah, she just has nothing there. It's nothing there. It's no substance. She's a narcissist and it's all about her. This is about connecting with those people. That's what this is about. Raise a Jehovah's Witness. If you say, Tim, what's up with your religion? How you feel about God? I could tell you in 2 minutes what my experience has been. We don't need to sit down for 3 hours to talk about the philosophical meanings of religion. For me to say, yeah, I was raised a Jehovah's Witness, I'm non-practicing now, but I am saved because I never was baptized as a Jehovah's Witness. I went to church with my wife and, during a service, I went to the altar, I did the whole thing, man. I did the thing. I had never done that. So that's my experience. And during some of the trials and tribulations that I've been through, I've realized that though I rejected and changed from, this religion that my mom practices, that I, left when I left home, I left it. I still needed some spiritual grounding in my life. Okay, so that's my story, man. I own it. That's what it is. But it's not a 2-hour conversation, nor do I need to explain to you how religion works or how faith works, how spirituality works to say that. So this, in Matt Barnes, I know she's a vice president, but this was a failed opportunity. Let's keep going, guys. More importantly, let's go to small business. Once again, Matt Barnes is going to bring up small businesses and what Kamala's going to do on the economic front.
Our business in January, so we've grown from a show to a whole entire company. What is your economic plan moving forward for people who are living paycheck to paycheck and struggling for groceries and rent and homeowners?
So look, I grew up. So my sister and I were raised by our mother. We lived for a long time in an apartment on top of a.
It's just no getting from the talking points. There is no her underneath all this, man. He said we just started a small business. What do you have to, how can you, what? And now we got to go through the same old story from all the stump speeches. The same old tired rhetoric. Folks, this is not what podcast is supposed to be. Podcast should be you letting down your hair, having a conversation, talking to regular people, and talking like a regular person and not doing your stump speech. Jesus Christ. And if you are going to do canned lines, prepared remarks, make them new ones. If you do it well enough, no one will know. But this is literally, lazily pulled directly from her stump speech. Directly. And if she loses, you're going to be blaming black men. And why did more black men come out and help her? Where were all the other black women? What? And no one's going to point at this shit. No one's going to do it. Well, I'm going to do it, but no one in corporate media is going to say all the missed opportunities. All the missed opportunities. This is, okay, once again, the question is, what are you going to do with small businesses?
Started our business in January, so we've grown from a show to a whole small business, black business. We actually just started our business in January, so we've grown from a show to a whole entire company. What is your economic plan moving forward for people who are living paycheck to paycheck and struggling for groceries? And
okay, my bad. It's not even about his business. It's more so about just the economy at large. It's like, what are you going to do about the economy? So that's also in there. So I guess you could go either way with that. Let's see what she says about the economy.
And rent and homeowners.
So look, I grew up, so my sister and I were raised by our mother. We lived for a long time in an apartment on top of a child care center. That child care center was actually owned by a woman who lived 2 doors down from us, Mrs. Shelton, who was, by all of our accounts and feelings, our second mother. She helped raise us. And so she was a small business owner. So I'll start with the small business, and congratulations on what you guys have done. I, from a child, knew who our small business owners are, right? I mean, you're business leaders, but you're also civic leaders. You take seriously your voice and how you can mentor, how you can grow, right? Communities and the sense of communities. I love our small businesses. And so,
Jesus Christ, man, I know there's people out there, man. You say, oh, Tim, you got to do better. Do better, Tim. No, you do better. Choose better. Listen better. This is horrendous, man. This is horrendous. Rent, groceries, home ownership, small business. She's talking about daycare provider. When she's 56, well, she's in her mid to late 50s. Really? Really? You've been vice president for 4 years. You got no bigger ideas, a bigger answer to this than when you were 4 or 5? The lady that watched you while your mother was doing her professor stuff at whatever company? Really? That's what you got? Yeah, it's all my fault because I'm hard on her. I'm a harsh critic.
a lot of my work in terms of building and growing the economy has focused on small businesses. And my vision overall is we need to build an opportunity economy in which we increase opportunity for all, including small business owners. So a lot of my work, even in the Senate, was about increasing access to capital through our small businesses, and in particular through our community banks. Mm-hmm. So I've been responsible for billions of dollars more now going into our community banks, because they're in the community, and then they know who's in the community and where the talent is and who's doing good in the community, what the community wants. And
if you're starting a small business, are you in the community to a point where a bank's going to know about you? Have you ever started a small business? I have. The bank don't know anything about you. We're Andy Griffith. What small one horse, one stoplight town is she talking about? The banks don't know you personally to know who's doing good in the community. What are you thinking of? See, this is what happened when you have a person that has no real experience in any of the shit that they're talking about. That's not how it works at all. I went into PNC Bank. It's like, hey, here's my company. Oh, okay, let's look at your stuff. Oh, okay. Well, this looks good and that looks good. I'm thinking, well, can I get a loan? Well, you got to build up your business credit. So, Kamala Harris, if you say you put more money for people to get business loans, have you helped with the criteria to get those loans? Because it doesn't matter if there's $1 trillion available. If you don't qualify for it, you can't get it. Okay? And if you can't get the money to start the business, what good does the tax break do for us? What good is a write-off at the end of the year if you don't have no money to start the damn business? These are very basic questions that Mark Barnes could have asked, or Steven Jackson, who's sitting there, I don't know what he's doing, playing on his phone. I don't get it, dog. Trying to stay out of harm's way, trying not to say no real shit. Is that why you quiet, Steven? Now is not the time to be quiet. Now's the time to confront the powerful, to ask the powerful important questions and allow them to speak, and don't cut them off, and be respectful, but ask important questions. So once again, the question was about rent, groceries, home ownership, and he prefaced it, hey, we just started a small business, even though they're both multiple millionaires, both these guys. Not even typical. And say they started a small business. Okay, fine. Half their work is already done because they can get marketing. People know who the hell they are. They're known entities. Here you go. They go to the bank. The bank's like, can we get an autograph? Can we get an autograph, please? Hey, Stephen. I'm Stephen. Well, Jackson. How was the malice in the palace? How was that actually being there fighting? You know, remember that Ron Artest, man? It was. Tommy talk. So he's not even a regular person. Star, he's a celebrity and an athlete.
So part of my plan as president is to give small businesses, startups, a tax deduction of $50,000 to start up. Because right now the tax deduction is $5,000.
Can't do nothing with that.
You can't do anything with a tax deduction until it's time to get taxes back. Right? That's how taxes work, right? So once again, if you're trying to, so we jumped over the groceries, the rent, and all that other shit, right? Okay. We in a small business. Not that everyone needs to open a small business. A lot more work than working for someone else. I can tell you that much. But okay. How's that going to help you start your business? How are we going to get the money to do the food truck if you want to do the food truck? How are you going to have the capital in order to go get the loan to get the food truck? How are you going to have the credit worthiness in order to qualify for the SBA loan? How are you going to do these things? That's what people that I would want to hear, right? And we're not hearing it, man. We're not hearing it. We could be here all day because this don't make no damn sense. We're okay. Where are we at now?
That's exactly right.
Mm-mm.
And see, the thing we know is that most of our small business, our entrepreneurs who want to start a small business, got a great idea, have incredible work ethic, but they weren't handed a bunch of money on a silver tray.
Right.
So you gonna put some money on the silver tray? Is that what you about to do? What you about to do? You warm now. What you gonna do?
And they just need to get their foot in the door.
Okay.
So there is that. There is what I need to do and what we need to do around making housing and rent more affordable. Part of the problem there is we have a housing supply shortage. My plan includes giving tax incentives for home builders to build 3 million more homes by the end of my first term to increase supply to bring down cost, and to increase home ownership, a $25,000 down payment assistance to first-time home buyers. Because again, people just need to get their foot in the door.
They'll grind after that.
Right? That's exactly.
Look at Barnes. They'll grind after that. That how it work, Barnes? All they need is a down payment. That's all you need is a down payment. You know, having known people that have worked in the car business, having worked in the car business briefly myself, I do know that it's getting a car, keeping the car is bigger than just having a down payment for the car. In fact, you could come in with no down payment and they'll still put you in a car because they're gonna make it up on the back end. Anybody in the car business knows this, right? Front end is back end money is. So how are they really going to afford the mortgage? It ain't a free house. It's like we're not adding in all the other stuff that's required. We're just saying, oh, $25,000. People going, yay! You're not getting $25,000, fool. It's going to be in some paperwork of the mortgage down payment. How do we control for the actual cost of the house not being inflated due to that $25,000 down? They do stuff all the time when you're buying a car and finance to finagle the numbers in order to get the paper approved and brought by the bank that's going to actually oversee your car loan. And I'm getting into the weeds here, but what I'm saying is there's more to it than that. And I hope Kamala knows that. I don't know if she does. Anyway, okay, so let's jump to this. I saw somebody else cover that topic. Here we go. Let's jump to this one. Anyway, Kamala Harris, she's talking on finding out Joe Biden was stepping down.
From the time that the president called me and told me he wasn't running, I mean, it just like everything was in speedy motion. And I was not sleeping so well. And that one morning, I had, I don't know, a few hours sleep, and I like to sleep. I just got up, I was like, and so I just went out and got a pork roast and started marinating.
See, time to work. Get to your happy place.
And my family happened to be in town, so they were very happy about the whole situation. But I just got up and started, everybody's asleep, I just got up and started cooking. Motion. And I was not sleeping so well. And that one morning, I had, I don't know, a few hours sleep, and I like to sleep. I just got up, I was like, the time that the president called me and told me he wasn't running, I mean, it just like everything was in speedy motion. And I was not sleeping so well.
She didn't give us anything here. She didn't give us a damn thing here. Folks, this is a very consequential question. This could have been a moment of something that is enlightening, something that is important that is said here. And it turned into, I made some food. Yeah, I cooked some food. I put a pot roast in the oven. That's it. That's all you got. Okay, take it two ways. From a personal standpoint, something like this is your life's work. You're a lifetime politician. She ain't gonna go do nothing else. And you're a vice president. And you just found out the guy who's running at the top of the ticket decides he ain't gonna run at the top of the ticket no more. What would be the first thing that would pop in my head? Do I run? I don't know. Maybe that would cross one's mind. Do I stick by him and we not run? Like, what does this mean for me? These are things you say. That's from a personal perspective. Then there's also the Democratic Party perspective. There's also, I hate to say it, but the state of the country. You are a sitting vice president, and now you find out you and you guys have been thinking he's going to run. He's announced that he was running. He accepted that he was going to run. That was something he said he was doing. And now he's changed his mind. And you can't even speak to from the perspective of being a vice president, not for yourself personally, but for the ticket for the country, for the Democratic Party, for all the people that voted. People voted for Joe Biden. People came out and voted. People sent money to Joe to run. People donated to his campaign. People donated to, and not his campaign, y'all campaign. It's the Biden-Harris administration. What about a comment about that? Like, all of a sudden, he unilaterally makes this decision like, huh? What? And the best that Kamala has is, I cook some food. Now, she was part of the dean. You know what I'm saying? Maybe I'd understand a little bit more, you know what I'm saying? What's that sister that cook, man? Hell, man, it's a lot of people that cook, you know what I'm saying? But I mean, if she was an award-winning chef or someone who had a cooking channel, you know, I get it. She was Flo. Remember Flo? Rest in peace. Aunt Flo. Is it Flo? I see her, man. She had a beautiful soul, man. Good people. Anyway, this was an opportunity for Kamala Harris. And even then, I guess even if you are a professional cook and a chef, and that's what you do when you're going through stress and what you want to focus, keep your body busy while your mind's, and just kind of get into your happy place. Why can't you say that? Like, I started cooking and I was just thinking about, what do I do? My decision-making process. I'm thinking about my mom. I'm thinking about the future. I'm thinking about what does this mean for Joe? What does it mean for the country? I'm thinking all these things going through my head, and I just start cooking, man. And I just start cooking something up for my family, and I'm just saying, okay, you know what? I need to center myself. I need to relax. I need to just not think about the gravity of this situation right now. It's too much. She ain't articulate none of that shit. She just like, I just cook. And once again, folks, when they look back, when they talk about this, if Kamala doesn't win, right, and they're doing the autopsy of why she didn't win, no one will bring up moments like this, when these were opportunities when she could have connected with real people, and she didn't. She chose not to. She went to talking points. And Matt Barnes ain't going to push her. And Steven, I don't even know what Steve doing. Steve chilling. You know what I'm saying? So maybe I don't know, man. I'm getting vibes like Steve ain't even into this. He's like, why are we doing this shit? Matt's like, we got to do this. We got to make money. We got to raise our profile. We need to, our podcast. And as I looked at the data, as I looked at the numbers on this podcast, I mean, it's under 200,000, and that's the vice president. Hell, they got an interview they did with Mike Epps from 6 months ago that said 1.2 or 1.3 million. How's the vice president gonna come on your podcast and she's so popping, the whole world's going wow, 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 and that shit ain't even 200,000 views. DeVory Dawkins does those bigger numbers than that by himself. Just talking about this shit. Anton Daniels does bigger numbers than that. Just talking about this podcast, he'll do 200,000. You understand what I'm saying? If I was any good, I guess if I was even half as well, I'd do 100. Put it in the ether, put it in the ether, put it in the ether. But the point is, she phones it in, man. She phones it in. So when given the opportunity to rise to the occasion, she don't rise to the occasion. That's all. Last thing, guys. Did identity politics. She did small business. Finding out about Biden. Isn't there like one more? Oh.
Mean to you to be the first woman president, but the first Black woman as president.
Yeah. Well, not there yet, knock wood. My mother had many sayings, and one of them is she would say to me, Kamala, you may be the first to do many things, make sure you're not the last. And I take that so very seriously. I've had the good fortune to mentor a lot of people along the way, including to this day. For me, it's about, one, understanding the shoulders I stand on. We talk about a Shirley Chisholm, and then so many people who are alive who have mentored me and helped me up. And I feel so strongly that, you know, each one pull one. You got to leave that door open more than it was when you walked in. And that's what it means to me. I feel a great sense of responsibility. I mean, you talk about your daughter and what she's doing at school. I look at our sons. I feel a sense of responsibility to hopefully remind them that you should never hear no. You should never hear nobody like you has done this before.
Maybe you need to hear it. Maybe you need to hear that. Maybe you need to hear maybe it's not for you. You know? Maybe this is too important for somebody to run who doesn't have that other gear. I'm sorry. I'm just keeping it a buck, guys. Hey, look, I ain't got time to play games with you. You know what I'm saying? I'm sorry if this hurts your feelings, Kamala supporters. Maybe this moment is for a woman who can seize the moment, right? Who can take this moment and actually speak to the people in a way that motivates and inspires people with substance, though. With substance about a vision that's substantive. That's not relying on beating up on Trump and then flip-flopping from your positions, 3 and 4 different gyrations of positions to get you in a place where no one knows who the hell you are, what you stand for, none of that. Maybe you're not supposed to keep on going up and up and up. Maybe locking up blacks and throwing away the key was as good as you were going to get. Maybe that was you. Maybe reading prepared lines and grilling Trump's picks or the Republican picks or whatever for the bench or for Congress or whatever. Maybe that's what you were supposed to do. Maybe being a senator was where as far as you were supposed to go. There is no level. Like, is there a level of incompetence people can get to where maybe you're out of your depth and it's not race and it's not gender, it's just, it ain't you? Personally, it's not women, it's not women of color. Maybe it's just not you. Yeah, I firmly believe that this whole demonstration, this is going to be bad for black women in general. It's going to be bad for women in general because if Kamala loses, and I think she will, they're going to say, they're going to be reluctant to run another woman. And I think it's just the woman that they're running. I think being a president requires some special shit. And I don't see nothing special about Kamala in her presentation. Being able to position yourself in order to take advantage of certain situations is not the same thing as being a truly gifted person, truly talented person. A true person is able to do incredible things. I just don't see it. Let her finish it out, Johnson. Let her finish it out.
Or it's not your time, or they're not ready. Like, don't hear that. Don't hear that. I eat no for breakfast. That's my saying.
Well, I think too,
I
we
eat
talked
no
about,
for breakfast.
You got to see it to believe it. We talked about
You
that growing
do.
up in the communities.
You
We got to
do.
see it to believe it. We've seen Obama do what he does, and now we have an opportunity to possibly see you.
Yeah.
And to me, 5, 6 daughters, and I have a daughter. Just to be able to see it means so much.
I can't stand that. I cannot stand that outlook. Man, this is not the 20s, the 40s, the 50s, the 60s, or the 70s. I don't think black children are growing up thinking, I can't do nothing because I'm black. My parents said a lot of things similar to that about society because they grew up under Jim Crow. children that aren't growing up under Jim Crow, they're not, I don't believe they're looking at the country and looking at their future and their lives going, we can't do nothing because we black. I don't even think that exists, man. What we need to be doing as black parents and as elders and OGs is making sure the people that are put in place actually benefit our communities in a way that will economically enforce them or propel them and put them in position to win. That's what we need to be. We don't need symbols. We got symbols. Our parents needed symbols because their symbols were killed. This is different. We're in a different place. We need to have people of value who truly bring something to the equation. You're not living through symbolism. Matt Barnes. Your children do not live in an era where they have not seen black people do shit, even if it's just in movies. This is different now. We have moved on to a place where we must hold black people accountable. We must demand that they do for us. We must demand that white people do for us, that white people's policies benefit us, that Latino people's policies benefit us, that Asians, all groups must demand that this country, that the policies of the people that they elect and they select are beneficial to their communities. And it ain't just a black thing, that's an everybody else thing. And everybody else is thinking that. Everybody else, see what you're doing to your kids? The Asian kids are sitting around thinking, oh, look, we're great, this is great, we get to have a black woman. They're thinking, how does this benefit us? What would this do for my small business? What would this do for my child's future? Well, that's how they're thinking. They're not thinking, oh, this will be great because she looks like someone because of the brown highlights she put in her hair. Get it? Other groups are not looking at it like that. I mean, there may be some that are, stuck on stupid, who are caught up into brainwashing, that somehow symbolism is more important than actual substance. Folks, to me, it was a failed opportunity for her. And I think it's going to be pretty hard to deny the missing of the mark. Maybe it was she was sitting down with a couple of guys. Maybe she was sitting down with a woman or some women and have a conversation and allow herself to be more vulnerable, to be more open. I'm not betting on it, but maybe it's possible to be a whole different dynamic present. And I'm sure I got to leave space for that because being a guy, maybe I don't get that. You know what I'm saying? But Jesus, man. When you start talking money, everybody should be able to relate to money. You should be able to articulate a money vision, an economic vision for what your goals are and how you're going to accomplish them.